Adolf Hitler. The guy who thought he could rule the planet went out like the ultimate coward, hiding underground, April 30th, 1945. Above him, Berlin was a raging fireball. Soviet troops were just 500 meters away. This self-proclaimed conqueror was trapped in a concrete bunker with his new wife, Eva Braun. Even in death, e overdid Italiano. Eva simply poisoned herself. Hitler needed 2 methods, of course. His body was then dragged upstairs and burned in the garden, just as he ordered. Why? He'd seen what they did to Mussolini's corpse and thought, no thanks. But the craziest part, for decades the Soviets claimed they had his skull. 2009 DNA tests showed it belonged to some random woman in her 40s. They just grabbed a fragment and said, yep, that's Hitler. In the end, it was his teeth that confirmed his identity in 2018. The most evil man of the 20th century identified like a car crash victim. Poetic in the most ordinary way. Benito Mussolini died just 2 days earlier, and his end was far worse for his ego. April 28, 1945. Italy was collapsing. The man who invented fascism and strutted as the toughest guy alive was caught by communist partisans hiding in the back of a German truck. Literally under a coat, they dragged him to a small village and shot him the next morning with his mistress, Clara Petaxi. He jumped in front of her to take the first bullet. One of the war's most theatrical moments. Then his body was taken to Milan, hung upside down by the feet at a gas station in Piazzale Loreto. The crowd went wild, kicking, spitting, and unleashing years of rage in the same square where partisans had been executed. Mussolini built a cult of strength and masculinity, only to end up dangling like a piñata at a fuel pump. Not a great look. Joseph Stalin didn't get captured or shot. He had a stroke in his bedroom and lay on the floor for hours. No one in his inner circle dared check on him. They were too terrified. March 1953. Guards noticed he hadn't emerged, but entering Stalin's room without permission could get you killed. When they finally went in, he was soaked in his own urine. One of the most undignified images of history's most terrifying man. The top leaders, Beria, Malenkov, Khrushchev, stood around the dying body, wondering if he'd wake up and execute them all. He lingered for days. Beria, who signed thousands of death warrants, started celebrating once it was clear Stalin was finished. The moment Stalin stopped breathing, the whole room realized everyone had noticed. 3 months later, Beria was arrested and shot. Stalin's toxic system began devouring itself the second he died. Mao Zedong, responsible for 40 to 80 million deaths. The highest body count of any individual in history, died quietly in bed on September 9th, 1976. At 82. He'd been crippled by ALS and heart disease for years. Doctors fought desperately to save him, knowing failure meant execution. He slipped away, peacefully. The nation officially mourned, while still scarred by the Cultural Revolution and Great Leap Forward. His embalmed body lies in a crystal coffin in Tiananmen Square today, right beside a busy gift shop. The man who killed more people than anyone is now a tourist photo op. Vladimir Lenin, founder of the Soviet Union, died in January 1924, at 53, likely from strokes and possibly syphilis. His final years were miserable, paralyzed and speechless, watching helplessly as Stalin took control. He wrote a testament urging Stalin's removal. Nobody listened. Stalin made sure of it. Lenin died, frustrated, knowing the monster he unleashed would devour everything. Against his wishes, his body was embalmed and placed in a Red Square mausoleum. A century later, Russia still debates whether to bury him. Pol Pot, architect of Cambodia's killing fields that claimed 1.5 to 2 million lives, a quarter of the population, died in 1998 of a heart attack while under house arrest by his own comrades. Not for genocide, but for murdering one colleague. In a 1997 interview, he claimed with a straight face he had no regrets and only wanted to help his country. He died peacefully at 73, then was cremated on a pile of jungle trash and old furniture. Visually fitting for the man who turned his nation into a wasteland. Saddam Hussein's death was meant to be solemn, but became a circus, found in a literal spider hole near Tikrit. In 2003, the palace builder with gold toilets reduced to a dirt pit, tried for crimes against humanity and sentenced to death on December 30th, 2006. Witnesses smuggled phones in, filmed everything, and chanted insults as the trapdoor opened while he argued. The video went viral in hours. Iraq wanted catharsis. The world got 3 minutes of chaos. Nicolae Ceausescu set the record for the most chaotic final 72 hours. December 1989. During a speech, the crowd booed the genius of the Carpathians. You can still see the shock on his face. He and Elena, fled by helicopter, were caught, given a rushed 2-hour trial, and executed by an eager firing squad on Christmas Day. The footage aired on Romanian TV that same afternoon. 2 people who caused decades of suffering were gone faster than most families finish holiday shopping. Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya 42 years with his flamboyant style and female Amazon bodyguards. In 2011, after NATO strikes and civil war, his convoy was bombed fleeing Sirte. He hid in a concrete drainage pipe. Rebels dragged him out. Phones captured the chaos that spread globally in minutes. Reports say he begged for mercy. 42 years of absolute power ended in a drain pipe. His body was displayed in a meat locker for crowds to photograph. Francisco Franco ruled Spain 36 years after winning the civil war with Hitler and Mussolini's help. When he finally began dying in 1975, doctors kept him alive for weeks, with extreme interventions. It became national black comedy. Even Saturday Night Live joked Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead. He passed on November 20th, 1975. Spain turned democratic quickly. His massive mausoleum, built by forced labor, was a fascist site until 2019, when the government exhumed and relocated his remains after court battles. Idi Amin, Uganda's dictator from 1971 to 1979, called himself the last king of Scotland, claimed to be a cannibal, and kept heads in his fridge. He expelled Uganda's Asians and caused 100,000 to 500,000 deaths. After fleeing in 1979, he lived comfortably in Saudi Arabia for 24 years. He died of kidney failure in 2003. His family asked Uganda if he could return home to die. Uganda refused. The self-proclaimed conqueror died with 0 consequences and was buried far from his crimes. Kim Jong-il officially invented the hamburger, scored 11 holes in one on his first golf game, and controlled the weather with his mind. He died of a heart attack on his private train in December 2011 at 69. The regime waited 2 days to announce it. A 100-day mourning period followed, with sadness police checking if citizens cried convincingly enough. Official story: he died of overwork for the nation. His body lies in a glass case in Pyongyang, while Kim Jong-un tests even more nukes. Slobodan Milosevic, the first sitting head of state indicted for war crimes, turned his Hague trial into a 4-year political show. He died in his prison cell on March 11, 2006, of a heart attack before any verdict. He died legally innocent. Thousands of victims, families, never got closure. Look closely. There's no satisfying pattern. Hitler got the bunker. Mussolini got the gas station. Stalin got ignored in his own piss. Mao got a crystal coffin and gift shop. Some faced trials. Some got Christmas executions. Some died peacefully with 0 consequences. The universe isn't fair. Almost all of them died more comfortably, with more time and peace than the millions they destroyed. Their stories aren't about justice. They're about power. How it shields you until the very end, and sometimes even after. Tell me in the comments. Which ending shocked you most? Which dictator do you want a full deep dive on next? Drop it below. See you in the next one.